Okay, Shrikant. So let's come to the student community part of it. Your story of being the person who had his offer sort of taken away at the time of the global recession of 2009, and then how you moved to Bangalore, sort of did a small internship, and then you sort of put yourself to the part of success, and now you're actually at a place where you're actually leading a particular vertical in a segment. Can you take our users through that story of resilience and commitment?
Resilience, commitment sounds good. When you succeed, these words sound very nice, very fancy. But the reality was things were not so rosy at one point of time. So 2009, I graduated from IIT-Kharagpur, and I thought I had done reasonably well so far in life. And then a lot of good things going for me. I think I had like multiple international research internships that were fully funded and all. Biggest one was I did a paper from MIT USA, which for me was the dream of my life to have once to go to MIT Cambridge and work there. I did all of that, so it looked the life looked rosy for me, to put it that way. I also had a very great campus offer that came my way, so I was looking forward to settling down post graduation. As they say when we are kids, that just get into IIT and then life is a bed of roses. So it seemed all the hard work that we had done in 11, 12 to get into an IIT was about to pay off.
Yeah.
But it didn't. I lost my campus offer. It was rescinded. The company was in no way position, so not no position to hire me.
Mm-hmm.
And I graduated jobless. For me, I had never ever thought that I will ever graduate out of this kind of a place jobless. I mean, log kya kahenge? I mean, that was just a horrible feeling that I had at that point of time. Nobody was hiring. Wherever I looked, nobody was hiring. The one big mistake I did, which I hope people don't do right now, was I was so focused on finding a job which suited my technical skills at that point of time.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that because I had studied a particular subject at IIT, it's below my dignity to look for anything beyond that, because then people will say, what's the point of your education from such a great place?
Mm-hmm.
So I had that mindset in my place that because I have studied industrial chemistry, I have to find a job in a petrochemical or an oil and gas company, which did not happen. Nobody was hiring at that point of time. After a lot of persuasion, a lot of follow-ups, I got a contractual opportunity with GE in Bangalore. They had a plastics division in Bangalore. Mm-hmm. So they said that there's no way we can offer you a permanent role here, but why don't you join us for a contract for 6 months? We'll pay you a stipend of $10,000. But honestly, at that point of time, feel free to work without any pay package also. It was that bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have a choice also. I couldn't even negotiate that can you make it 15,000? Doesn't work that way. You take it or leave it.
Yeah.
So, and they said if things work out for you, then 6 months down the line, we might convert this into a full-time position. Mm-hmm. So I had to swallow a lot of my pride, a lot of my ego, get started there. My seniors 1 year ago were graduating with 8 to 10 lakh, 15 lakh job offers per annum job offers. So, and this is our problem, right? We always compare ourselves to what the previous batch did. That's something that students right now will feel, that they will compare themselves to what the last year's batch got. What was the average of that place? How much did the topper get? Someone in your family will remind you that this topper, he got a 1 crore offer from Google, like some random nonsense you will hear, and it will be there at the back of your mind. So it was actually not a good phase of my life, thinking that I thought I was so good and all, but what is this happening to me? And you get into this victim mentality mode, that why does this happen to me only? Like, where did I go wrong that all these things are happening to me? So I wasn't a great phase. The worst was yet to follow. 4 months down the line, GE sold off that division to a Saudi company. So there was no chance of being retained at all, irrespective of your performance. So till then, I was trying so hard that if I really do very well at my job, probably they will absorb me. 4 months later, they said that we have sold off our division to a Saudi company. So they are letting go of all people here. So you will also be let go in a couple of months. Mm-hmm. and things were not really looking up for me. It was really bad, and I had a second-hand cycle with me because traveling in a Volvo bus, paying 60 rupees every day from my rented place to my office, multiplying that into 20, 22 days, that's like 2,000 bucks out of 10,000. Just petrol transportation was not an option for me at all. So those hard days really mold you as a person. And they say, right, that success teaches you nothing. Failure is your biggest teacher. I don't think I've progressed so much as a human being than I did in those 6 months. Because I realized this one very, very simple fact of life, that the world is perfectly fine without me. They're happy to operate without you. And whatever skills that you might be proud of, that you have picked up, are redundant and are surplus to the world's requirements. So live with that and do something about it was the biggest takeaway from me there. Plus, swallow your pride. There is no point judging anyone now. You are as good or as bad as them. And the person in front of you has a story that you may not even be aware of. So stop judging people. So all those changes happened to me in those 6 months. So actually, I can say that that was the steepest learning curve I've ever had in my life. I mean, that was, in hindsight, brilliant, simply because I'm fine right now. But at that point of time, not so great. So again, once I realized that there is no way forward with me in this company and in the kind of jobs I was searching out for, I started speaking to a lot of friends, a lot of seniors, that what do I do? A lot of great guidance I got. My seniors were so nice, and they were people who were all settled in. They were not such in a bad state as I was, but they told me two very critical things that I still remember. And when I was graduating out of ISB, I was remembering the same things. It helped me a lot. Number one was that the salary that you get out of your campus is not the last one of your life. It's the first one. So stop comparing yourselves to the average or to the best or to someone else for reference. It doesn't matter. 10 years later, nobody's going to ask you, how much did you earn right out of college? So it's absolutely irrelevant, number one. Number two was, stop chasing the brand name of your company. A lot of people seek a particular job, not because they like the job, but because they wanted to be associated with that company, which is so wrong in hindsight. Makes no difference. Again, if you are really good, you will get that really awesome job at that company somewhere down the line, maybe not immediately. So those two things stayed with me. So swallow your ego, swallow your pride. I mean, it's perfectly fine to work for a startup, even though you know that they are not going to pay you, and you know that it has no brand name. And if somebody asks you from your house, let's say relative, like, where do you work? Don't be embarrassed about that answer. It's perfectly fine that they don't understand what they're going through. So that part was very important, that learning for me. And that is why at that point of time, I joined a company called Mu Sigma. Mu Sigma in 2008, 2009 was virtually a startup. They only had 50, 60 people at that point of time. The company was founded in 2008 itself. And the reason why I joined that company was because analytics at that point, big data, was an up and coming field. It was like in 99, 2000, IT was the boom. When Narayan Murthy's Infosys started taking off, that's when everybody wanted to get into an IT job in 99, 2000. In 2008, 2009, analytics and big data was the latest trend in the industry. And to me, it seemed something that could be tried out. Again, I didn't have any idea about it, no experience about it. But when you're desperate, beggars are not choosers. And they were doing walk-in interviews. So I just walked in and gave an interview. And thankfully, the interview was all about puzzles and mathematics. So I was able to crack it. But it was a whole new learning curve for me, because it certainly involved me to learn a lot deeper statistics, getting very, very, very hands-on on understanding business fundamentals, learning a lot of coding, which I'd never done in my life. Because I come again from a chemical background, so there was no coding I had ever done. But if you have to survive, you have to again remember basics, that you might have certain skills, move on. Those skills are not required now. So acquire new ones, try to gain as much as you can, learn from your peers. I mean, and the thing is this, when you are in such a situation, you're never alone. There are a lot more people, lot more of your friends and colleagues who are the same boat that you are. Trust me, that helps. When all of you are equally screwed, it's a much easier route to navigate through, because you give yourselves a lot of hope, a lot of confidence that will emerge out of this stronger. And all of us did. I mean, all those guys right now are doing brilliantly for in their professional worlds right now. But that's where the journey started. So worked there for 3.5 years, learned the ropes of analytics, figured out how to understand how businesses operate. I was lucky enough that I went and spent around 1 year in the US uh, for working for certain clients. And all that knowledge was used into when I applied to ISB. Post ISB, I joined Amazon. It had just launched in India. So Amazon launched in India in September of 2000, July of 2013. I joined in May 2014. So it's been 6 years now, and I've been with them in their ecosystem.
Nice.
Now I'm pretty thankful for where I am in my current position. So it all worked out in the end.
Now, on that thought, Shrikant, so there will be many people in your shoes now, going from, let's say, stepping out of engineering colleges, IITs, as well as B schools. And many people go for glamorous roles, which you have already pointed out that it should not be the brand name. But many people would want to stick to certain areas of their choice. So for B schools, it might be marketing, operations. For engineers, it might be, let's say, coding, being a product manager, or maybe a full stack developer, or XYZ, right? I agree that you need to be flexible and adapt with the environment. But there is a very, very thin line between flexibility and desperation, right? What would be your thoughts? Because see, the point is that they are there for the first time, right? And they will also be in the same emotional trauma as you were at that point in time, right? And what your advice would be so that they don't make wrong choices, and in desperation they take up something which they definitely don't believe
Hmm. So first, let's look at the first question that you said, that somebody really wants to be in marketing, or really somebody wants to be in product management and they don't want to change. What do they do?
in. Right.
Uh, so, so my point is this. Right now, all of us believe that the Indian economy is undergoing a recession, and a lot of industries are right now struggling. And that's why there's a scarcity of jobs in the market, which is true, which is absolutely true. But it's not so dark right now. There are, and it's always true, whenever recession hits, for whatever reasons, some industries tank, some industries do very badly. But there are always some other industries that pick up big time, that start becoming a lot more, that start having a lot more priority in people's mind share than before. So I'll give an example. Uh, yes. So if I think about the industries that are going to tank, manufacturing, aviation, I mean, transportation overall, the business, hospitality, probably FMCG to some extent, all of these will take a hit. But then there are industries such as healthcare, uh, edtech, uh, supply chain, logistics, e-commerce. All these industries will start booming. And the core skills, now think about a guy who was trying to become a marketing manager and wanted to go for, join a, let's say, a Make My Trip, or was working in a company similar to Make My Trip. Now suddenly Make My Trip is in a bad state. And I'm not aware, but I'm assuming it's in a bad state.
Sure.
And they are not in a position to offer someone a marketing manager role in Make My Trip. Let's say he's an MBA grad. But that's not the end of the world. Now, if Make My Trip is unable to offer him a marketing manager role, there would be a Byju's, and just an example, edtech company, that would be now looking to expand its growth in India multifold. And they will also require marketing managers. You need someone to figure out, how do I improve my internet penetration? How do I improve my click-through rate? How do I improve my impressions? All those different things that a marketing manager should care for. So those roles still exist. Now it's simply that it won't be handed to you on a plate. You now need to go and search for it and show that you are better than the other guy also seeking that role.
Yeah.
A lot of people complain that, but I have, for example, and the whole reason why I'm bringing up this edtech angle and the Make My Trip angle is because the world is accelerating towards a digital era. And to survive in this world, whether you are in operations, whether you're in marketing, whether you're in product management, you need to be more and more digitally savvy. There is no denying of that angle.
Right.
Now, there are people who will come and say that I don't have these skills because they never taught me all this in college, which is unfortunately a reality. A lot of things that are taught in our colleges, whether it's a B school or a engineering school, it's kind of redundant. It doesn't have a lot of relevancy right now. But that's not an excuse. There is more than enough content out there for people to self-learn, or there are hundreds and thousands of accreditation courses out there for people to go through and emerge out of it more digitally savvy. And a great example is my own mom. She's a school teacher, and right now the schools are closed, but she has to survive. And now she's figuring out how to create online modules for her students. And she's 58 years old. And now she's figuring out how to teach on a tablet using a pencil and figuring it out how to make all those diagrams that make sense to the students. If she can do it, I don't think anybody else has a reason to say I can't do it. So the rules still exist, but yeah, it's not going to be a free flow for everyone. Previously, companies used to go to a campus and say, please come and sit on our placements, and we have so many roles, and these are the kind of salaries offered to you. That's not going to happen. Now you have to go and search for them. And if you don't have the skills, go and learn them. It's again, understanding and accepting that your current skills might be redundant. And therefore, you need to pick up some new skills to survive in the new world. I think that is the name of the game that people have to learn right now.
Thank you so much, Shrikant, for your valuable views. I'm sure students would agree and would take some good lessons from your experience and your thoughts. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. My pleasure.